Seguimos donde estábamos, chicos. Seguimos investigando un poco. Aquí se lleva la mano a la cabeza. No está aquí, estaba arriba el cardenal. El cardenal Piaggi estaba arriba. Jalea real me viene bien, porque no tengo nada de jalea real, entonces me viene siempre bien. Esto no es ni puerta, ¿sabes? O sea... Realmente es enorme esto.
President George Washington.
Nos toca George Washington. A ver si me dice que estuvieron jugando las cartas. O es mentira.
Golden elixir.
Porque como sea mentira, vamos a ver, vamos a tener problemas usted y yo, presidente. O sea, aquí estoy manejando todo lo que puedo, ¿sabes? O sea, no...
George Washington.
Aquí tiene un retraso, perdón, un retrato de...
Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost.
Tiene el mismo...
My dear George, I'd like to invite you to join me as planned at my place. I have
Vale, estos son la imitación.
My dear George.
Y esto es...
It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals. The English and the Americans are preparing a peace treaty. It would appear that Emily is in secret discussion with Washington about reopening trade between the United States and England.
Pues toma.
If such an arrangement came into being, France would suffer dearly.
Aquí hay cosas muy turbias en este sitio, ¿eh? Todo se ha dicho que la gente en este sitio tiene cosas muy turbias, muy turbias.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Vale.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
Ya lo estaba
I
antes,
know,
¿no?
Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
Vale, ¿tenemos algo que diga de Washington? George Washington. Inmunidad política.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing,
¿sí?
apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Perry, but that case was closed, if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened, and I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry. Countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks.
No tengo favoritismos.
Do you know why she...
Vale, lo único es...
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer to see if he could help her.
Hombre, si le damos a lo mejor ya sabemos...
It would appear that she wasn't invited to the conference.
That doesn't surprise me. The poor girl was in no way concerned by our business, and she had no political clout.
So, I don't understand why Sir Gregory invited her during the conference of his good friend Lord Mortimer. He must have realized that he wouldn't have much time to grant her. Preparing a conference does not seem an easy task. On the evening of our arrival, Lord Mortimer didn't even welcome us, what with his being so busy and all.
Yes, you're right, Louis. I didn't
Yep.
think of that. It is indeed rather surprising. The easiest thing to do is simply ask him, you know.
Of course. Are you all right, Mr. President? Are you feeling all right?
Oh, don't worry. It's this rotten toothache. What do you expect? I'm no spring chicken now.
I'm talking to all the guests to find out who has an alibi and, well, who doesn't, Mr. President. Can you tell me what you were doing last night so that I can strike your name off the list?
I spent the night right
¿Qué?
here reading.
All night?
Exactly. Emily stopped by in the middle of the night. You can ask her. She wanted to talk about some business.
Me ha engañado entonces el otro jugando al
Anything
este.
whatsoever to do with Elizabeth?
Not at all, Louis. A business matter.
I shan't keep you any longer, Mr. President.
Feel free, Louis. If there's anything I
No,
can
no
do,
estuvo
just
jugando al
ask.
póker.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No estuvo jugando al póker. Lo que significa que nos han engañado como un chino. Vamos a por el siguiente.
Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
No, nothing special.
Qué mentira.
Lord Mortimer must have informed you of the necessity for everyone to remain in their rooms until further notice.
Certainly, but I'm a guest, not a prisoner. I was looking for a servant, since we don't all, unfortunately, have one at our disposal.
Yeah, right.
I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
Pero lo que me sorprende es que si dijo que él había estado con el presidente Washington jugando a las cartas, es mentira. Totalmente mentira. El presidente Washington estaba leyendo, supuestamente.
My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of some unfortunate news. We won't be able to meet as planned on the first Sunday of May. I've been told that you're no better.
Vale, es una carta de...
Clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime.
Supuestamente el otro estuvo jugando a las cartas hasta medianoche. Pero claro.
Huh. The talisman that I gave back to Elizabeth.
Joder,
I can't
qué
exactly
cruel.
say it brought her good luck. An old sesterce from Roman Gaul. A novel of the initiation of a young woman. A notebook written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out.
Ya, pero no tengo eso.
August 24th, 1792. Elizabeth, I'm driven to despair and doubt there is any point in writing to you. I'm not even sure you receive my letters. Father controls my correspondence.
La horrible mujer es mi madre.
August 24th. 3rd of November, 1791. My dear sister, the cancellation of our reunion hit me like a stab to the heart. Father.
El talismán se lo envió su hermana. Vale, vale.
Pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging
Sí,
by
pero
the
no la
weight,
utilizaron, ¿no?
Fairly light. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. Right. I shall have to find its owner.
Va a ser Napoleón. Porque... hay que ir a buscar a Napoleón, os lo aseguro.
Fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear.
The color doesn't correspond to Emily's black outfits, and Elizabeth doesn't have anything quite like this in her wardrobe. Let's take a closer look. It's a little dirty. It must come from the bottom of the dress where it touches the ground. I recognize that moire pattern. It's the same as the travel dress my mother was wearing when she left. But why the hell did she come into this room?
Para hacer que se callara esta tía, pero es que todo el resto son de... El resto sí que conduce totalmente a...
Pentagram. What the hell's been going on here? Contrary to what most people believe, a pentagram's not there to conjure up, I don't know what evil or demonic creature. With the point towards the top, the pentagram is an ancient symbol of protection against evil. I wonder if Elizabeth's death has anything at all to do with this pentagram. If a ritual went wrong and degenerated, Elizabeth would probably have been killed in the center of the pentagram, not 3 meters from here. That's strange. A pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual?
Claro, los libros de mi madre. Ay, mierda.
The talisman that I gave back to Elizabeth.
Sí, sí, vale.
I can't exactly say it brought her good luck.
Se lo mandó su hermana. Eso lo tenemos claro.
Honey, I couldn't have hoped for better.
No necesito, la verdad.
Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved.
Aquí todo el mundo sabe algo y nadie me dice nada, Es que puedo... Es una tontería, ¿no? De momento no lo necesito.
The blade is short and thin. Well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh. The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. The handprint on the handle is really small. I can't imagine a man with a hand that size. It must be from a woman's hand.
No, que sí, sí, que es eso.
Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15.
Pero cosa más rara.
Where's a size like that here? Peru? Washington, maybe.
Ahora yo, porque he pisado también. Los ojos rojos, 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 rojos. Parece el demonio, macho.
There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars.
Supuestamente de mi madre.
People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control.
O se pegaba.
The scars are superficial and were made several years ago. She wasn't trying to take her own life. She had the sigillum de Amos tattooed on her, the symbol of the living God, written in the language of angels, according to believers. It is rare for someone to know about symbols like this at her age.
Hola, mía.
Unless her mother was a tutor. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. On first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death. It looks as though the wounds were inflicted from a precise angle, as if the murderer was standing behind Elizabeth.
O sea, alguien estaba hablando con ella.
Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood. The scars are anything to go by.
Dios, qué dolor.
It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body.
Hostia, qué mal rollo, tú.
I see no sign of bruising on the skull.
Sale que... Oh, qué mal rollo.
A scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose.
Como yo.
There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising.
Vamos a agotar todo aquí.
There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. What a strange smell. Laudanum. Certain courtiers use it to get drunk. If taken in large quantities, it can provoke fits of madness.
Es lo que le echo a la bebida cuando yo vine.
Her breath smells of alcohol and of laudanum. We'll use it to relieve pain. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. This pinnacle's a trap. The wearers of the pinnacle thought that they were protected from evil by surrounding it inside the different circles of the pinnacle. No marks or bruising around the wrists.
O sea, como si alguien lo hubiese entretenido por delante y otro lo hubiese acuchillado por detrás. O sea, 2 personas.
Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her
No
body.
tengo más puntos yo tampoco, ¿sabes? Entonces tampoco puedo investigar mucho más.
A chest with a half-circle pattern.
Me viene de lujo porque creo que lleno otro
Her
más.
tutored
Ahí
hand
está.
copied these notes. Looks like a healing method. Well, that's a pity. Your writing is barely legible.
Vamos a utilizar esto. No me he equivocado, es esto.
The note suggests binding the feet and hands, then blocking the jaws using a piece of cloth to prevent the tongue from being sectioned. That looks like a method to control an epileptic fit. I wonder if Elizabeth is the one being treated for that illness.
No tan misteriosas, que estas me las llevo. Ah, no, la enciclopedia me la puedo llevar, ¿no?
Has Sir finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
Monsieur Johann van Volner. The signs of obscurantism.
Un libro nuevo.
The Sorrows of Young Werther. There's a handwritten text signed by von Werner on this first page. Dear Elizabeth, I know that this book is but a small token compared to the delightful.
Ostras, espérate, que vamos a empezar a saber cosas a mí.
Keep the memory alive.
Tu obediente
Your
siervo.
ever obedient servant. So, Volner had
¿No
a
ves?
relationship with Elizabeth. But that's hardly surprising given his fondness for the occult. Golden elixir. A chest locked with a 4-letter code. Surely a word close to the owner's heart.
Lee. No tengo ni idea.
The alchemist is a young man.
No tengo ni idea. Por aquí voy arriba.
Amber. The alchemist is an old man.
Vale, pues entonces utilizamos el abrojo. Puesto que tampoco puedo hacer mucho más, ¿sabes? Y hablamos con él.
What can I do for you, de Richet?
Monsieur, Lord Mortimer has appointed me to investigate the tragedy that befell us last night.
Oh, yes. It's horrible. Yes. How can I help, monsieur?
Did you see how many tattoos Miss Adams had on her?
Of course. Who wouldn't have noticed?
Yes, but I'm sure that an expert like yourself must have an opinion on the subject.
I do. She was seeking to imprison something inside her.
Ah, con una
Her own
prisión.
body had become a sort of prison.
She wanted to protect herself. Is that what you're saying?
Elizabeth was a flame, a candle in the night. And like all candles in the night, she was surrounded by darkness, by her demons. Call it what you will. One thing is for sure. She struggled against hell and high water, not to let her flame.
Luego vamos a ir a por el Nava, por Napoleón y demás.
Where were you last night?
In my room. I read a few ancient manuscripts before going to bed.
Es que todos...
But I didn't stay up long. I was tired.
Qué lío.
Thank you kindly. Excuse me for asking, but did you know Miss Adams?
Oh, she... not really, to tell the truth. No.
I found the Werther dedication, signed by your hand, monsieur. Would you like to change your version now?
Be careful, de Richet. Don't push your
Uy.
luck. My relationship with Miss Adams was pure, and has nothing to do with you. Well, continue playing the detective as you see fit. But if I find the bastard who did that to Elizabeth, I will...
Yes! I would have preferred a simple response.
Ya la verdad que...
I see I have my answer now. You loved her, didn't you?
That is none of your damn business.
Your feelings betray you, sir.
So what? Yes, I loved her like a moth loves the flame of a candle. That's why we could never be together.
Exactly how long had you been seeing her?
I have no reason to answer you.
I see. Is that what you want me to tell Lord Mortimer when he asks what I found out?
It's only been a few weeks.
I get the impression that your romance was over. Am I right?
So, what does it matter to you? I would never have attacked her, if that's what you're insinuating.
Who put an end to the relationship? You or her?
It was her. It was her.
Uf,
But what does that matter?
qué de
We
cosas,
both
tío.
agree.
Please, tell me a little more about the nature of your relationship.
That is a personal matter, monsieur.
Yes, that is true. So, tell me.
All right. It was passion. That's why we couldn't stay together. It scared her.
We finished. I'll have a look around and then take my leave.
Do whatever you have to do.
Bien, hemos terminado aquí. Apenas que me he quedado sin apenas ya... Vamos a hablar con los dos francesitos. Que son de los que más dudas tengo, la verdad. Aquí no puedo entrar ya, ¿no?
Sir Jacques Peru?
Pero en esta sí. Tengo preguntas para usted, Napoleón.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
As any good soldier would, I imagine you own a firearm. May I see it?
Oh, well, if you really want to, here is my pistol. Don't worry, it is not loaded.
Do you have several of these?
In Corsica, oui, but not on me when I am traveling. Only a bandit would carry such an arsenal.
Thank you. Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Esto. No.
Someone saw you not far from the victim's room. Can you tell
Es
me
que el
what
resto
you
no
were
estuvo
doing
jugando las
exactly,
cartas,
please?
tío.
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. I wanted to warn her to be careful. You see, on the night of my arrival,
Vamos a hablar con
I saw
el...
someone leaving her
Ya
room in haste,
con el señor de
and
arriba,
I
como
wanted
digo
to
yo,
speak
con el
to
super.
to warn her. Unfortunately, the young lady slipped through my fingers each time. Now I know why. She had every reason to be worried.
Vale.
What an idiot I was not to insist. I could have helped her. Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers.
O sea, me enseña la pistola
day.
y sí que tiene la pistola. Entonces, si tiene que ir la pistola, la otra no es suya. Diría que es momento de subir arriba. Si logro saber cómo.
Duchess Emily Hillsborough.
Ah, que todavía no he entrado aquí, entonces. Bueno, hay un montón de cosas, entonces.
King George III in coronation robes. Nice touch for the room of an English duchess.
Dear E, I received your last letter. Unfortunately, the Crown informed the Golden Order that our mission should under no circumstances hamper Sir Gregory's plans. Dear E,
Joder, es que... Todo el mundo tiene cosas ocultas, tío. Esto es un lío enorme.
Grammar of Port-Royal. Ah, the artistry of the French language in all its splendor. Whoever masters French commands the world. At least une partie of it. A letter from William Pitt the Younger addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
No.
2 coils circle the lock. A letter from William Pitt the Elder addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. A devil's thorn, to be used to uncover the best disguised traits.
Tampoco yo tengo mucha capacidad de esto, ¿sabes? Vamos a hablar con ella.
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Hombre, yo rechacé a esta tía por la otra, ¿no? Entonces a lo mejor me dice algo de eso.
I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Death came quickly. You can be assured of that.
If such a senseless act can happen here, then none of us is truly safe anywhere. Lord Mortimer must be mortified that one of his guests could have committed such an act, don't you think?
He is indeed very upset about it. It's only natural after such a violent murder.
Violent? What do you mean?
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times.
Oh my God, Louis. How awful. The murderer must have had a serious grudge against her to set upon her like that. It must have been a crime of passion. Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to...
Crimen pasional, entonces será el tío este que estaba enamorado de ella. Dios.
Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
I'm now interviewing all the guests to establish the alibis for each person. Just so that I can cross you off the list of suspects, can you tell me what you were doing on the night of the murder?
Am I given to understand that I'm on the list of suspects?
Don't take it the wrong way, but I must consider every possibility.
Well, if you absolutely wanted to be sure of my activities that evening,
No es.
you only had to join me, you know.
I know, Emily. Especially since I couldn't prevent the murder, even though I spent part of the evening with Elizabeth.
You're sure it's not too hard to bear for you?
The fact is, I don't have a choice. But I will find the murderer. I owe Elizabeth that, at least. Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the
Claro, es que
conference,
ella estaba
I
aquí
didn't
por otra
really seek
cosa.
her out.
I hear you were in discussions with the Holy See.
Oh, either His Eminence can't keep his tongue from wagging, or you've been poking your nose where you shouldn't, sir.
Even so, Emily, you're raising a royalist army. That's no small matter.
And you are straying from the subject. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me?
I found a torn piece of dress in Miss Adams' room. Gray silk.
Where's it from?
That's what I'm trying to find out. The color doesn't match any of Elizabeth's dresses, but I might not have found all of her clothes yet.
Good Lord, Louis, do you realize what this means? If this piece of dress isn't from Elizabeth, then it's... I don't have any grey silk dresses, Louis. Neither does my sister, since we wear the same clothes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to check with you.
I'm so sorry, Louis.
Thank you.
Are you all right? You know, I'm sure there's a good reason why your mother was at the scene.
Thank you, Emily. We found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger, quite slim.
Have you found its owner?
Not yet. Still searching as it happens. That said, since the blade penetrated the body several times, the murderer's hand will have been covered in blood.
You think that's a clue?
The handprint was a very slender hand, Emily. Probably that of a woman.
Do you realize what that means? There are only 3 of us on the island. Bearing in mind that neither my sister nor myself had any reason to set upon the young lady, that means...
I know, Emily. I know.
Keep up your courage, Louis. I'm sure there's an explanation. You're bound
¿Alguien
to
la
shed
está
some
intentando
light on it all.
inculpar?
What you say is true, Emily. I'm less and less enthusiastic
No
about
sé,
shedding
tío.
any light on the subject. Tell me, Emily, what's the nature of your relationship with Washington?
Oh, come off it, Louis. You're not going to go into a jealous rage, are you?
No, I can assure you of that. That has nothing to do with it.
It doesn't really matter. Look, Louis, the President and myself are working on a number of commercial contracts. Nothing overly exciting.
You're lying, Emily. If these agreements come into being, they'll break Franco-American alliances for the greatest benefit of England. In order to know. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
Esta mujer está como en su mundo, ¿sabes? No tenemos ni idea, no nos ha dicho nada. Esta muchacha no nos ha valido de nada. Pero bueno, chicos, seguiremos investigando en el próximo episodio. Nos quedan alguna que otra habitación. Aquí nos queda otra habitación. Y aquí nos queda otra. Y luego ya subiremos pues a ver al señor, a ver qué nos cuenta. Así que nada, chicos, espero que os haya gustado y